What's up, MetaNerdz? This video is all about the Eta-2 Actis-class Interceptor, also known as the Jedi Interceptor. It was manufactured by Kuat Systems Engineering, the same company that made the Delta 7. And like the Delta 7, there were 3 models to choose from. Your standard Eta-2 was 290,000 credits, about the cost of 2 X-Wings, the high maneuver variant, which cost 320,000 credits, and a whopping 385,000 credits for the high-speed variant, which is almost the cost of 2 Naboo Starfighters, which remember is a luxury starfighter. At 5.47 meters, or about 18 feet long, it was around a third of the length of a Z-95 Headhunter. And at 4.3 meters wide, its width was equal to that of 2 Wookiees plus an Ewok. A top speed of 1,500 kilometers per hour, or 932 miles per hour, was nearly 200 miles per hour faster than a TIE fighter. It achieved this impressive speed with these twin ion engines, and it was exceptionally maneuverable, in part because the thrusters were capable of creating electromagnetic vectoring that could angle the directions of the ions being propelled by up to 30 degrees. Right behind these were the repulsor lifts that got the Eta off the ground. Next to this was the landing pad, and working our way up the wing, we see where the power cells were located, and the coolant, heat sinks, and radiators are all located right here. These wings contain additional radiators, and we see that up front, on the outside of the wings, are the ion cannons, and stored inside, we have the second part of the landing gear, and even a toolbox. The engineers were able to make sure that the laser cannons were still accurate and powerful, because even though the ship is small, the cannons make up about half of its length. And some rare models were able to incorporate concussion missile launchers. Moving back towards the cockpit, we see that the Eta-2 could fit a full astromech, instead of the half an astromech that was used in the earlier Delta 7. We see that the cockpit and viewing window made sure that the pilot had an excellent view of his surroundings. The flight controls are on the left, and the joystick was here on the right, with the life support and the high energy reactors that generated power for the ion engines. There is no hyperdrive on board, but it could enter hyperspace via these hyperspace transport rings. And while making hyperspace jumps, the coordinates would be calculated by the astromech unit. And original versions didn't have shields, but throughout the Clone Wars, some models did have shielding added, and the strength of the hull plating was increased. Its history starts after the production of the Delta 7, and it was being created alongside the ARC-170 and the Alpha 3. Jedi complaints got those shield variants created, and engineers worked to make sure that this small frame would allow them to fit 192 of these ships in the standard complement of the Venator. One of the first skirmishes involving the Eta-2 was when it was piloted against an advanced craft, the Tempest Zero. Throughout the Clone Wars, Jedi learned to use their powers in the Force to help them navigate, though some clones would also pilot this ship. And when Anakin became Darth Vader, he continued to use the Eta-2 to hunt down surviving Jedi. This ship would then be used to inspire Cinar Fleet Systems in their production of TIE fighters. They kept the vertical side panels, twin ion engines, and of course the look of the viewport. The Eta-2's success in the Battle of Coruscant helped to phase out the ARC-170. The idea of a cheap, nimble, and unshielded ship that could be mass-produced matched up with the philosophy of the Empire. But the ARC-170's descendant, the X-Wing, would end up making a triumphant return against the TIE. Though there were some Eta-2 that were used by both the Empire and Rebellion during the Galactic Civil War. In the year 40 ABY, there was a successor created, the Eta-5, which was used by the New Jedi Order. And that's actually the last we hear of it. So that's it for the Eta-2, but you definitely want to hear these cool facts and behind the scenes stuff. The look of the Eta-2 was made to bridge the gap between the Republic of the prequels and the Empire of the original trilogy. And the addition of concussion missiles comes from a mix of the novel Labyrinth of Evil, saying that Obi-Wan's Eta-2 came equipped with them, something that may have been influenced from the fact that many toys featured missiles, and was also a feature added in many video games. Though we do know in that book, it is interestingly depicted that General Grievous doesn't fully understand the weaponry of some Republic vehicles, and often overestimates their capabilities. And Eta, in astronomical terms, means the 7th star in a constellation, with Actis coming from mythology as the son of Rhoda and Helios, a character who ended up teaching astrology, and who is said to have built the city of Heliopolis in Egypt. So that's it for the Eta-2 Actis-class Interceptor. If you liked it, go ahead and hit that like button, and be sure to leave a comment down below if I missed any cool facts, or if you have a suggestion for future videos. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at MetaNerdz Lore, so you can see us build Star Wars props and cosplays, along with some other cool Star Wars stuff. If you want to help support this channel, check out the description below for our Amazon store and our Patreon. And be sure to subscribe, because we're making videos like this every single day. But more important than all that, remember, Obi-Wan and Anakin would have been killed in Episode 3 if they just fired standard missiles instead of those buzz droids. And the Force will be with you, always.